welcome to the Meant for More with Kristina Gazi, the only podcast that you need to make your life and business a masterpiece. And today we are talking about personal brand, the must-know topic for every entrepreneur. Alisa, what is one thing you want everybody to know about building a personal brand?
I would say the most important thing about personal brand is that it should be an extension of you. Your personal brand online should not be a completely different persona, a different character. It should be you, but optimized for the social media platforms.
Ooh, I like it, optimized. Guys, we have a real expert today. Alisa Lee is an artist, speaker, and consultant, helping founders and creatives and experts become the obvious choice in their industry. Alisa, please share with us a bit about your journey and how did you get to that work?
Of course. So it's been a very interesting journey. I started out as a performer. So I was doing theater, I was doing musicals, I was doing TV, all of that stuff. And then during COVID, I decided to take all of that and kind of translate that onto social media, right? So I started my TikTok channel. And then that did really well. So I ended up doing campaigns, working with brands, getting to see and learn about the marketing, the strategy behind the scenes, reading your data, all of these things about business that I never got a chance to learn before while I was just doing performance. And so now with like almost 10 years plus of experience, because I literally started this at 19, I feel like I'm taking all of this knowledge and I'm packaging it in a way where I can add value back to people who don't know how to do it, or maybe have no experience, or maybe they have fears. And I'm just sharing this value with them to help them do what I did.
Oh, sounds so interesting. And I have so many questions. Bear with me. What actually makes someone memorable online today?
I feel like to be memorable online today, especially in this whole age of AI, is really to be more human and to be more real and to be more yourself. You know, we hear a lot about different people, like, you know, TikTok gurus, social media gurus, and they're saying like, you know, find this niche, use this template, use Claude, use ChatGPT. But the thing is, if you don't know who you are, the tool is just a tool. The tool cannot make you a different person. So you have to first figure out who it is that you are. What's this essence of you? Like, what's this essence of Kristina? What's this essence of Alisa? What do I want to present? Then what do I want to show people? What do I want to teach people? What do I want them to know about me? Then the tools can help you. So I feel like, especially in this day and age, it's more important to know who you are first than to just like ask all those tools to solve that problem for you.
What an unexpected turn of events. From talking, I'm ready to talk about marketing, right? Personal brand strategies. And we go like, you need to know who you are.
Yes.
And I think it's really hard for a lot of women starting a business to really understand which part of me is valuable for my business.
Yes.
Which part, like I'm a huge believer that when you start a business, it's not about showing every aspect of your personality, every aspect of your life, but really choosing what makes sense for business.
Yes.
Right? And what do you think, like what would be the marker when someone really knows that they know who they are?
What would be the marker to know if they know? I feel like the easy thing is just to ask them, you know, what do you stand for? What is your content about? What are you sharing about? What are you talking about? Like sometimes people don't know, but then when they talk to you, you can hear it in their answer, right? And that's why people like us come in to be the mentors, to be the experts, to be the coaches, to be the consultants, because it seems like they don't really know, but the minute you get into conversation with them, you start to pick up patterns. Right, you start to hear things that they're saying constantly. You start to hear a story, a narrative, a through line through their journey. And then we reflect that back to them. Hey, didn't you realize that you've been talking about this thing like 5 times? That could be your angle. That could be your unfair advantage. But because it's so natural to us, it's so normal to us, we don't see that as being something special. We don't see that as being valuable. So I think that's really important. It's like finding those patterns, finding those through lines.
This is gold. I love it. This is so true. So many women, they have it in them, but they are taking those things for granted.
Yeah.
And unless they have a sounding board as an expert or a friend who knows things, they cannot necessarily put a finger on that. Let's do like a mini masterclass. What do you think 3 questions a female entrepreneur needs to answer to help her identify what makes sense for their personal brand? And I heard one, and I want you guys to write it down. What do you stand for? I think that's a really good one. What would be the other 2?
I would also ask, what comes so naturally to you that you find easy and that you find fun and that you're passionate about? I think that's also like a really clear indicator of like, that could be where your strength lies. And then I would also say, what skills have you accumulated over the years? You know, what value have you already created for yourself that now you can actually add value to somebody else? And that will come from your skills and your knowledge base.
Alrighty, I love it. Love it. Skills, natural traits, what do you stand for? And from there, you can start creating some points for your personal brand. And when you look online, what do you see? What is a mistake most entrepreneurs do with their personal brand?
Okay. It's so funny. I don't even know if I should call it a mistake. I feel like so many entrepreneurs don't even have a personal brand, right? A lot of them are so scared to even show up online, you know? So you meet them in person and they're like, oh, I do this, I do that, I do that. Oh, do you have LinkedIn? Oh, do you have Instagram? Can I add you that? Oh, no, I'm not there. You know, like, you know, that's not really a thing that I do. Or like, oh, I'm a bit scared to show up online. Like I recently met a founder of a tech company who has no real presence on Instagram or anything, you know what I mean? And like that shocks me because I think a lot of people feel like they need to be pretty. You know, they see influencers online and they're like, oh, I need to be pretty, or I need to be entertaining, or I need to know like trends in order to show up on social media. And if they feel like they don't know any of that, they feel like they can't show up. So I would almost even say like a lot of them are not even showing up on social media.
Okay, like not having a brand at all.
Yes.
Right. It's an interesting point, and this is a little test I love doing with the founders I work with. I'm a coach, and there is a personality test which you can do, and one of the traits would be the level of influence. And you can see that some people are born influencers. That is just part of their DNA. And then there are people who it's just genuinely not their thing. So when a founder comes to me and they're like, I have a business, but being online is not my thing, I often start by doing that test. Like, what is your essence? And I see sometimes there is an inner conflict. I think something you touched upon, that it's not my thing, but oh my God, your personality test screams you were born to share.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's really important for people to identify, can they build a business without a personal brand? Or it's okay not to have one. What do you think? Like, what's your perspective? Do everybody need a personal brand as a business owners these days? Or you can get away without having one?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like in the past, you can get away with not having one because a lot of businesses back then are built on network, right? Talking, going for events, referrals, and meeting people. But nowadays, because there's so many people in the market already, and so many people visible in the market, you know, then your whole kind of like your competition and the number of people have changed. And you're also now looking at working alongside people who are like Gen Zers, right? Millennials who are already like brought up with social media. So to them, they're visible everywhere. Like, I almost want to say like your business is also built a huge part on marketing and sales. And the way that marketing is moving nowadays is for sure digital. So if you want to continue to ride this wave of marketing leading to sales, you've got to be present online. And that starts with having a personal brand. So no matter how afraid you are of showing up online, no matter what you think you don't have, right? the fact is, because you've already done all of this offline, all you need to do now is literally, like I mentioned, adapt it, optimize it, put all the things that you already know you're already doing, but just put it online, right?
It's a very good point. I believe that every expert should be able to represent the level of their expertise online.
Yes.
In other words, if you are a really cool expert, really good at what you do, and you rely on online to generate leads, and your online presence is not representing the level of expertise, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
That's for sure there. But, and again, like I'm being trying to be really precise here. How do we know if someone has an online presence but doesn't have a personal brand? Like, what would be an indicator that someone has created a personal brand versus just putting content online?
Okay. I would say that a very clear indicator of a strong personal brand is there's consistency in the messaging that they're putting out. So, for example, if I want to be recognized as a singer, right, you would consistently see that majority of my posts are about my singing. And if I now want to position myself, so I'm just going to use myself as an example. So I used to do gigs where I would sing at bars, sing at hotels, right? And most recently, I've been singing at stadiums. So how did I go from singing at bars and hotels to singing at stadiums? It's how you brand yourself and how you position yourself. So my messaging has to completely shift. I'm not posting backstage of myself at a bar. I'm not posting, oh, this is me with an acoustic guitar. I'm posting, this is me at like a luxury shoot, for example, or this is me dressed up at a studio photo shoot. This is me in the rehearsal studio putting my musicians together. This is me showing up on bigger stages, the behind the scenes of how I put all of that together. So you're immediately kind of like leveling up your own brand. The minute that you elevate your own brand, then people of a certain level can come to you. So how you can tell whether or not somebody has built a strong personal brand is, what is their messaging? Is it consistent? Is it one day like, I'm here with my friends, one day I'm here at a nature garden, tomorrow it's like, oh, this is my business, and then the next day it's like, oh, but by the way, I also play the guitar on the side. You know what I mean? Like, when it's so messy online, people don't know who you are, they don't know what you stand for, and sometimes it's also a result of like, you want to show every aspect of yourself, right? You want people to think, I'm this multifaceted person, I have like 10,000 different interests, which is fine for your personal page. But when you're talking about a business page and you're talking about a personal brand, you've got to kind of reverse engineer and work backwards. What's the goal that I want? Is my goal to get on the stadium stage? Is my goal to get 10K a month in revenue? Is my goal to network with people who are like in the top 1% of the industry? Then how do I shift my positioning? How do I post certain things that will get me into those rooms? Right? That is the indicator of a strong personal brand.
Ooh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Definitely, like some things I would like to highlight here. You need to know what are your goals for your business presence. And that is 100% there. And you need a consistency in your business presence. People's attention is scarce. If you are talking about 3 different things at the same time, they remember nothing. And this is so true. We did this little exercise with my mentees. You need to show your account to someone who is not necessarily your client straight away or knows you really well. And you ask them, what is my brand about? And they should be able, like within a minute, to skim through and be able to say, oh, you are doing this. If they're confused, oh, you're doing this and that, then your probably brand not going to be so easily identifiable. And very good advice. Like, this is a bit of me. Like, oh, I want to post about this trip, or I want to post about this party. All of that goes to my personal account.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes irresistible. Having said that, I've had some people come to me, and I think this is a difficult question. I wonder how would you see that?
Okay.
People want to see a person behind the brand. How much of a personal information or points do you think we should be posting online for our work profiles?
Yeah, okay. I will say when you're posting about your personal life online, it should never be, this is my personal life, this is what I do, this is my boyfriend, da da da. It should always be, this is a story of a journey that I've been through. This is some lessons that I've learned because I have gone through ABC, XYZ, right? In that sense, even when you share about your personal life, you're still adding it back to your business. You are saying, I've learned these lessons, therefore I'm a great expert. I've learned these lessons, therefore I can help you if you're my client. So only share about your personal story if you feel it's going to add value to your business. If not, it's just like letting people into, all your private life. And sometimes by doing that, it reduces your authority. When you don't frame it from an angle of this is a lesson, this is my expertise, and you just frame it as, oh, I'm just sharing about my life, you might be doing yourself a disservice in terms of like authority building, because you always want to be a leader. You never just want to be an oversharer.
Love it. Love it. Be a leader, not the overshare. And you see, guys, it's something for everybody to think about. If you want to use your socials, digital presence to your advantage, you gotta be strategic. You cannot just like post a picture of your salad and pray it's gonna work out. No, there has to be a strategy behind it. Okay, what is happening in terms of personal brand and AI? What are we looking at? Is personal brand becomes more important, less important? What's going on?
Okay, so with the whole rise of AI, we also have the rise of AI slop, right? Which is things that are so obviously created by like ChatGPT that people just scroll past it. So you might think, oh, I'm posting this thing, and ChatGPT told me that it's so well formatted, the structure is really nice. But then the minute you hit post, nobody's gonna read that because they look at it and they go, oh, AI wrote that, skip. So I think what's gonna be happening more and more, which is already happening right now, is that you need to infuse a lot more of your story in it, which is why I go back to the lessons, go back to what's my expertise. Because now with the rise of AI, anybody can create generic content. Oh, here are 3 quotes of how to be a good consultant. Everybody can do that, right? But nobody can say, I have been a consultant for the last 10 years. This is what I've seen my clients do, right? Nobody can say, I've been in the media and entertainment industry for the last 10 years. This is what I can tell you about being visible online. That's something that only I can share. That's something that only you can share. So to me, with the rise of AI, your personal journey and your personal experience becomes more and more and more important.
This is so true. We are entering the era of storytelling.
Yeah.
We all should become better storytellers. And you did mention this word authority. What's the difference between influence and authority?
Okay. So I feel like the word influence has been so misused because we always relate influence to influencers, right? Before the rise of influencers, influence is authority. If I have authority, I have influence. If I have influence, I have authority. So let's remove this idea of influencer and let's just go back to what is influential, what builds authority. And I will say that a lot of that comes from, one, the strength of your story, the strength of your belief in whatever you're putting out there, and then your expertise, your level of craft, your level of just your level of precision, how good you are at what you do, how much you love what you do, how much you've researched and learned about what you do, how much you've applied what you've done. That is influence and that is authority. So I will say being an influencer nowadays, it's more of just oh, this is what I do, this is what I wear, this is where I go do my hair. There's no authority to that because it's just this is a day in my life, come follow me for a day in my life. But why you? I can follow anybody else's day in their life. You know what I mean? But when it's authority, it's, okay, maybe I have just turned 30. These are some lessons that I've learned, in the last couple of months, right? Or I've just turned 30 and all these things that I thought I was or I needed at 20 something, I realized, oh my gosh, those things are not important anymore. I'm still sharing my story. but I'm not just being an influencer of like, hi, I'm 30 years old. Now follow me as I go and get a cup of coffee. So I think it's always about how you frame it, because every part of your life and every part of your story is important. How you tell the story about your life, that's what's going to separate you from being a leader or being an influencer. I'm not saying being an influencer is bad, but it's like, what kind of business do you want to build? What kind of authority do you want to build? And you need to know that first.
Oh, and we touched upon another very interesting story. Why some people grow fast online and others stay invisible despite working hard.
I feel like that's actually such an interesting question. I think people who grow fast online, they take their content very seriously. They are treating content like a business, and they are being strategic about it. Because there's a lot of ways that you can grow online, right? You can grow online by luck. You luckily, like, magically got one viral video, and then you can't replicate it, right? Or you have tried and you have experimented and you have iterated on different styles of content. You look at your data, you know what works, and then you double down on that. And then you create a whole niche for yourself that just keeps compounding. So people who grow fast on social media, I feel personally, if they're not growing by luck, they're growing because they're very strategic. Because they have found a formula after months of experimenting that they're now compounding. And when you look at compounding, that means you're growing disproportionately, you're growing exponentially. So that to me is really the marker of like, if somebody's consistently growing, you can almost bet that they have found a certain formula that works for them, that's compounding for them.
Ooh, I love it. It is so true. I think I've never seen someone who managed to go viral or really grow from their first 100 videos. In the majority of cases, it really took a lot of experimentation. What is my strongest content? What resonates with my audience? What is my delivery? And then do more of what works.
Yes.
Find what works, do more of it. And on that note, what type of content builds trust the best nowadays? And which type of content has the best ability to grow your account? What have you seen?
Okay. What I've seen in terms of trust building content, talking heads are a huge one. Because people want to feel like you're just flipping up your phone and you're speaking genuinely. It's not like, oh, you're reading from a teleprompter or you're reading from a script. People don't like that anymore, right? People don't want to feel like, oh, you've overly edited this whole video, so everything that you say doesn't seem to be naturally coming from you. I think people nowadays want something that's natural. So if you're going to say, oh, I'm an expert in this, I should be able to just flip up my phone and talk about this for 30 seconds, right? That would show me more that you're an expert, as opposed to I create this really, really nice video and I look as if I'm just reading from a script. That would almost make me seem like I'm not an expert because I had to read from the script. So I think more and more they're just looking for that authenticity and that genuineness of like, is this something that this person can talk about daily? Is this something that this person's sharing about every day? Is it a similar topic? Is it something that comes naturally from them as opposed to, oh, I'm getting ChatGPT to write it? I think that is really what's going to stand out. And it's already standing out now. Like, we're looking at the rise of authentic content as opposed to like really, really, really nice aesthetic Instagram content.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big one. Guys, relax. No need for static content anymore. You don't have to match every picture one to another. But very good point about authentic talking heads. People use social media more and more, and I think they do want to feel like they're talking to a friend.
Yes.
Spending time with someone they can trust, which is crazy. Like, if you think about it, it's crazy. And like, think about it, right? We're entering the era where some people are digital first, in a sense that I know some people, I first met them online.
Yeah.
And I watched their content online and I trusted them online, and then working now with them in real life. And I think that's probably what a lot of founders need to learn how to do to grow their business, to build that relation one to many, through
Yes.
sharing their content, right?
100%.
Yeah. And if we need to build that strong personal brand, what shall we stop posting immediately?
That's so funny. Okay, what should we stop posting immediately? I would almost say, like, just stop posting about parts of your life that you want to keep private. Because that's not going to help you build your brand. And that's going to make you feel more vulnerable. It's going to make you feel like, oh no, now people know everything about my life. Now I'm scared to share. You know, if you have a very clear like filter in your mind that my social media profiles are my business, right? My life is my life. Then you can be very consistent with your social media because you're not afraid of like, oh, what if somebody thinks this way about me? Or what if somebody thinks this way about my relationship? Or what if somebody thinks this way about my family? Because that doesn't matter. That's not your social media, right? That's your personal life. It's when you share too much of your personal life on social media with no business purpose whatsoever that you start to feel like, oh no, like they know too much. Now I want to hold back. You know, now I want to share less. Yeah, so just be very clear on like what you're using it for.
That is such a good point. Oftentimes, founders come to me and they say, I have so much to share, but I'm a private person
Yeah.
and I don't want people to know. And in reality, your content needs to add value to your
Mm,
viewers. And they don't necessarily want to know about your private life unless it's very interesting. Right? But in most cases, people watch your content to get something out of it.
yeah.
So definitely can focus on that. Hot topic. Have you seen people growing their accounts, building strong personal brands without posting daily?
Ooh. I almost want to say that a lot of them start, even if they're not posting daily, they're posting at least like, 3 to 4 or 5 times a week, right? So you have like 2, 3 days off, but you're still showing up in front of people. At least you need to do that at the start. Eventually, once your brand is strong enough, you don't have to post every day, you can post less because people already know you, they already know what you stand for, they already know your brand. But when you're still building your brand, you want the algorithm to be on your side. You need to shift people's perceptions of you, right? So, for example, if people always had this impression that, that you're just, I don't know, that you're maybe you're a baker, right? And now you have opened this like huge bakery in like a really nice fancy place, right? And you've leveled up and you've hired like a top tier chef, whatever. But people in their mind still think, oh, she's just a home baker. Probably, her bread is like, $2, and that's all I'm expecting from this person. Because you never shared with them and you never shifted their perspective. You need to show them who you are right now. So when you're starting a business, you're already a different person, right? You're not the same person as you were before you had your business. So now you need to start showing up like a business so that over time people go, oh, hey, this is Alyssa and she runs this business. Not just, oh, hey, this is Alyssa and she's my friend. You know what I mean? Like it's a very different perception. And so I will say that at least in the beginning when you're starting, maybe the first 1 to 2 years, you want to be posting, if not daily, at least 3 to 4 times a week. Shift people's perceptions of you. Once they know, okay, this is Alyssa and she runs this business, then maybe if you post a little bit less and you've already got good traction going, then that's fine. Because you already have a community that's engaged with you. When you don't have that community, when people don't know what you do, they don't know you run a business, you cannot afford to be showing up like twice a week, because it's going to take forever for them to learn.
I wish everybody would listen to that. I know a lot of women, they want to grow their brand and they want to make their business successful, but they don't want to post daily. Or I have the stats, the businesses which are growing online are posting at least 5 times a week.
Yeah.
That's like the baseline, right?
Mm.
And there is no opportunities without effort.
Yes.
And sometimes in the beginning, effort is way bigger than the outcome created.
Yes. Always.
That's the price of entry,
Yeah.
right? Once you entered, you can relax potentially, but I don't think so. I think there are other people who are working so hard, like their life depends on that.
Yeah.
And it's a joke, but it's true, right? You started a business, you didn't know you're going to be a content creator. Hello, 2026, right? But it's like, one thing without another. And I think the big dream, and I don't know how you feel about that, but there's a big dream that you can outsource your digital presence. You can be supported in building your digital presence, but if we're talking about small business, if we're talking about a personal brand, you are in the driver's seat. No matter what the expert tell you or does for you, you are the one building that boat.
Yeah,
You
100%.
have to be in charge of those decisions. So guys, put your lipstick on. Create
Show
some
up in front of
content.
the camera.
Yeah. I do have a mastermind for female entrepreneurs. And yesterday we discussed a really hot topic, how to promote yourself without showing up salesy. What's your top tips on promoting yourself without being salesy?
Okay, I think again it goes back down to not just like buy my product, buy my service. It goes to firstly sharing what have you learned, right? Your experience, your expertise. Then touch on their pain points. Okay, I used to be there. I used to struggle with ABC, XYZ, right? And what I've learned is this. So it goes into the insight. What's the insight? What have I learned that I didn't know before? And then after you share the insight, you go, okay, I could also help you with this. This is the transformation I help my clients with. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. If you would like to be part of this, if you are ready to take this next step, then here's the link to like work with me, right? So you're not just saying, oh, I do this. I'm an expert. Now buy my service. You're saying, I've been there. This is what I've learned. This is what I know. This is the transformation that I've either done for myself or done for somebody else. And if this is a similar thing that you want, then I invite you to come reach out to me. Then I invite you to come for my workshop, my masterclass. Then I invite you to fill up, my form, my wait list. So you don't make it seem as if like, just because I'm the expert, you have to come to me. You first invite them into your journey, into your story, and then tell them this is something that I could do for you. And then it's an invitation for them to then join it. I think that is a lot less salesy, a lot more authentic. And then people are more likely to be like, oh, wow, like I relate to that. Okay, and I don't feel pressured. Okay, maybe I'll join that.
Wonderful tip. Definitely, it's a good way to think about it, and it's the way you guys can try if you feel like the fear of showing up salesy is stopping you from promoting your business. But I also think that if a founder is building something they're genuinely excited about, if they are building something which genuinely helps others, they shouldn't be quiet about it. Like, I want to know. The world needs to know that there is this amazing thing which is going on, which has a potential to help others. And we need to move away from this concept, oh, am I being salesy right now? And really accept the fact that you are running a business.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things business does is offer products and services. It's just that it all becomes harder once you are the product and the service, right?
Yeah.
So what have you seen? What are the most blogs you've seen around visibility or maybe self-promotion that we are dealing with?
I think the biggest one is that people talk a lot about themselves, but they don't talk a lot about their business, and they don't talk a lot about their service, and they don't share enough about how to work with me. That's the most important part, right? You always have to have a CTA, whether that's a link in your bio, whether that's a link you share in your IG story, whether you're DMing someone and saying, hey, I have this workshop coming up. You need to give people doors to walk through. If there's no door to walk through, you can be an expert and nobody's coming through the door, you know? So I think what's lacking is really like, you're not sharing enough about, you can sign up for this, you can join me for that, I'm doing this thing. That needs to be done more. Yeah.
Such a good reminder, guys, how to work with you.
Yes.
Like, oh, it has to be super clear. And if anything, most female entrepreneurs I know, they under promote
Yeah.
rather than over promote. And something for you to remember. Okay, and let's talk about, like, we're in the sales and promotion. What is the fastest path from audience to revenue?
Okay, a lot of people are going to expect that the fastest path is creating content. I think that's great, but you also have to understand that content might take time to work. It's different for everyone, right? So people always think if I post more, I'm going to get more audience, I'm going to get more revenue. But that's not always the case. The fastest is always to tap onto people directly. So whether that's like going into your network, messaging people, sending out your DMs, whatever, to people who you know are interested, having conversations, going for networking events, but putting yourself in the right rooms, that is faster than building up your content engine. Because you have to think like, yes, you can create 30 pieces of content, right? But maybe for somebody else who's really good in front of the camera, or like they're just really natural or whatever, they found their formula, then the content's gonna move faster for them. For somebody else, it might take them, 60 pieces of content to get there, maybe 100 pieces of content to get there. So then you're gonna be disappointed if you're like, oh, my content's taking so long to get me this revenue. Then you have to think, well, if we remove content, because content is the marketing engine, right? If we remove one marketing engine from the whole system, what other marketing engines are there? You still have your outbounds. You still have DMing people in your network. You still have asking for referrals. You still have running ads. You could do that. You can go for networking events, right? And all of those things are also not reliant on the algorithm. And they are quicker. You show up for a networking event, you get 10 contacts, you immediately DM them, So sometimes I'll say you need multiple systems to work together. You cannot just rely on one unless you have patience, Yeah.
I love it, unless you have patience, which most people don't. I would definitely highlight that. Think about your marketing as a system.
Yes.
You probably need multiple touch points, multiple
Yes.
approaches to get the best results versus relying on one. And I think this is something we need to also remind the audience. Something which worked yesterday might not work today.
Yeah.
I've had clients who lost access to one of their accounts, who had probably been not able to log in or something. And you probably always need to have more than one ways. And you started that you would faster get revenue by tapping into your audience. I believe in supporting both. It's not only about you going out and meeting people and maybe they didn't know about your transition. You can use a digital presence to support what you're talking in private. And I saw that is a very quick way.
Yeah.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing. What's something about branding that you changed your mind about?
I think, honestly, I don't know if I've changed my mind about it. I think my mind has become clearer and clearer as I've gone along. I think the thing about branding is that it's not about creating a version of yourself that's not you, right? So like we were saying, when you work with your clients eventually in real life, they're buying your service and stuff because of what they also see online. So they can't be like, okay, I want to buy your service, and then suddenly I see you in real life and you're like a completely different person. That's not good for your reputation, right? And that's also not good for their experience. So I feel like the thing that I've learned more and more about branding is that people can tell you all these tips and tricks and tools, but you still have to go back to knowing yourself first, because you have to show up as the same person online and offline. It cannot be I created this fake persona to sell my business, and then when you actually meet me in person, I'm a completely different person. So I think at the end of the day, however you want to brand yourself, it still needs to be true to who you are. At least if you want to build, a business that you feel is aligned. So you don't want to be burnt out after a while because you're like, I'm playing this character and it's really tiring. Yeah.
Oh, this is so interesting. And I think I've done a workshop with one actress, and she's also a communication specialist.
Yeah.
And she said people start showing up online fearless when they understand what is one thing they don't want others to know about them.
Interesting.
Like what is like one thing you struggle to accept in yourself, and you feel like, okay, if others know that about me, they would like me less. And just like really what that made me think that showing up online is a lot of inner work,
Yes.
knowing yourself, accepting yourself,
Expressing
being
yourself.
right, expressing yourself. It's very spiritual way if you think about it.
Yeah.
And what is the emotional cost of becoming highly visible online?
Oh. Okay, I'm a good person to speak about this. Okay, so I will say that one thing that I learned about visibility is that virality and visibility are not the same thing, right? So I
Okay.
found my magic formula being viral, and I knew how to do that over and over and over again. And I was doing that being entertaining. And then what I started to notice when you talk about emotional cost is that when people start to see you as a certain character that you've played, right? So I was an entertainer, I sing, I act, I dance, I do all these things. So the minute people see you as that, they don't see you as anything more than that until you shift their perception. So when they saw me as Alyssa's an entertainer and I start talking about my life, the question is, oh, but I thought you are like this, I thought you are this happy-go-lucky, super positive person, da 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 da. Why are you now talking about all of these other things that are a lot deeper, so different from just this character that I'm so used to seeing you play, right? Which is my viral entertainment character. And I think that's why I talk so much about branding, because it's like I've been there, and the cost of being so visible by millions of views every video, but nobody knows who you really are because they see you as this character. The cost that you pay internally, like when I switch off the phone and I just sit in my room, right? It's like, I feel like, oh my gosh, everybody sees me, but nobody knows me and nobody understands me. It's like I have just suddenly become a cog in the machine, for example, right? It's like, oh, I'm just there for entertainment. Or oh, I'm just there to feed the algorithm instead of to feed myself. And so I was very, very, very conscious about my rebrand almost. Because I was like, okay, now, Alyssa, you need to start showing the depth of your experience. Because you don't just become an entertainer out of nowhere. That is years of being in the entertainment industry that I can even show up online as this entertaining person. It's not oh, I just flip out my phone and I'm so good at acting, I'm so good at singing, right? So it's people are not knowing enough about that backstory, about that journey. So I was very conscious about then rebranding it and shifting it in a way where I now show up as an authority, not just oh, I magically do this, but okay, this is all the years of knowledge and lessons that I've learned over the years that have now led me to this.
Wow, this is so powerful. And another thing which I'm hearing here is that let people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Show them the process. We are so wired, and I see this when women start working on their business, they want to show the final product.
Yeah.
This is my perfect polished brand. People would connect more when you show them how you are getting there.
Mm.
And in many ways, if we're doing everything right, there is always a next level for us.
Yeah.
So bringing people on that journey is so, so important. And thank you so much for sharing so generously. I have two last questions.
Sure.
if someone wants to reach out and work with you, what is currently, I don't know, programs, services, where to find you, where to get to know more about you? We're going to drop all the links in the comments below.
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn and Instagram. Links are also in my bio. I do one-on-one coaching and consulting. Usually that just comes through a DM, or you can fill in my Google form, which is also in my bio. Or just message me. That's the quickest way to do it.
Yay, amazing. And what is one mistake you would say, or a myth, choose myth or mistake about personal brand that people have?
I think a lot of people, I would say that a lot of them look at personal brand as like a huge mountain to climb, right? But your personal brand is built through your individual posts. You're consistently showing up over time. It's not something that you can magically just like create. It's something that you have to keep showing up. And then you build that story and you build that narrative. It's very different from writing a book, right? You write a book, you already have 20, 30 chapters in there. You've got 300 pages. But when you're building a personal brand online, it's one page at a time, right? When you get to 300 pages, then you have a book. So I would say like when you're building a personal brand, just think about the next step. What's the next post I can do? How can I show up the next day? Where else can I show up? What can I post about? Think about it like that. And that eventually will create that brand for you. But just have the goal in mind. Have the goal in mind, but don't expect a 300-page book to just be like that.
Wow, I love this analogy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alyssa, for sharing with us. It was a pleasure to
You're
have
welcome.
you. Guys, yes, follow, like, comment, and see you in the next episode. Poof.